Whether we'd like to admit it or not, most of us love messed up crime stories, which is why true crime is an entertainment genre in its own right. It doesn't mean that we're all messed up in the head. We love these stories because they make us realize how different we are from the people who go out and do those horrible things. There's a psychological angle too. It's fascinating to know how, say, a serial killer's mind works. The following weird crime stories from around the world, however, don't have any of those things. A lot of them actually sound like pranks. None of them would ever be considered for their own Netflix series, as it's difficult to explain why anyone would even do some of these things, let alone sit and explore the psychological motives behind them, though they'd definitely be noted for how inexplicable and bizarre they are. Number 10. Sand theft. The beach is loved by many, and why not? It's a social place with a bunch of people chilling or having a good time, unless you visit some frozen beach in Norway or something. The view is gorgeous, and looking at the seemingly endless ocean helps you calm down, no matter how hard your day has been. Not everyone shares that opinion though, especially not the people who have taken to stealing sand from beaches across the world, a problem that has been growing in recent times. Sand theft is an increasingly serious problem for authorities around the world, as it's apparently highly in demand due to its use in construction. Sardinia has instituted hefty fines for stealing sand, but they're still catching people trying to take some home for some reason. It's not like one bottle of sand can be used to construct anything. In many developing countries, sand is gradually coming up as a highly coveted commodity due to its use in construction and its growing scarcity, which may make stealing some off a beach sound a bit less weird. Countries like India even have full-fledged sand mafias you probably wouldn't want to run into. Number 9. Naked man trashes house, gets stuck in a vent. Canada generally isn't known for its gruesome crimes, though it does have quite a few bizarre cases with questionable motivations, like this one. It all started in December 2015, when some people in British Columbia started hearing noises from the house next door. They reported it and notified the family the house belonged to, though it only got weirder from there. Authorities found a man stuck inside a vent. He was wrapped in insulation, possibly to keep himself warm, though that wouldn't have been a necessity if he wasn't also buck naked. On further inspection, the whole house was found to be trashed, and the man was assumed to have been living in the ceiling, based on the large hole in it from which he clearly fell down. Police weren't exactly clear on why he ransacked the house or what he was doing stuck in the vents when they found him, or what he was doing in general. They were, however, clear on when he got naked, at some point in the middle of his destruction spree, as they found his underwear in the toilet. That showed that he didn't come naked for the job, which would have been weird, or at least weirder than it already was, though it really doesn't explain what the job was and why he was there at all. Number 8. Cheese black market. We admit that cheese is good, and no matter how much of it we eat, we never get tired of it. It's a widely acknowledged opinion, outside of those who are intolerant to milk products, and the freedom to go to the store and get more cheese whenever we want is one of modern society's greatest gifts. Ever imagine how bad it would be if it wasn't readily available? You don't have to, as that's exactly the situation in Russia due to all the sanctions and general geopolitical goodwill it has managed to lose over the last decade or so. It's probably the only country in the world with a thriving cheese black market due to its severe shortage and high prices, and they regularly arrest local criminal cheese rings. You'd think that a cheese black market would be some sort of a joke, but they're really serious about it, and the cheese shortage has attracted quite a bit of global attention in recent years. Number 7. Stealing Komodo dragons. In case you've never seen it in a viral animal video on the internet, the Komodo dragon is the largest lizard species on the planet. It's native to just a handful of Indonesian islands, though, and thank God for that. It looks like the living embodiment of death, and a bunch of them is certainly not something you want to run into on a casual hike. You probably wouldn't willingly go near one if you had a choice, and even then, You keep your distance because just look at those things. And yet, some people aren't just willingly going near them, they're also stealing them. Komodo dragon theft has turned into a big enough problem for authorities to completely ban tourists from the island of Komodo starting in January 2020. An end date for the ban has not been set. Even so, why would someone steal a Komodo dragon? Not only are they dangerous, but they don't have pretty fur to be sold or anything else of use other than the look of pure, cold death in their eyes. Some people think that they must be useful in traditional Eastern medicine, which may be why each one of them goes for $35,000 and above. We just hope that's the case and that no one's actually keeping them as pets. Number 6. Selling corpses on the black market. We all deal with the death of a loved one in our own way, depending on where we live and the traditions of the land. Death rituals vary across the world, though in China, a particular type of ritual is causing people to dig up corpses and sell them on the black market, ghost marriages. In China as well as Taiwan and other Chinese communities, marrying someone who's dead is a way to put their soul at peace, and some people have taken to robbing graves and selling them in the corpse black market. If you were wondering how much those corpses would fetch, we have the answer: somewhere around 100,000 yuan, roughly $15,000, which sort of explains why someone would choose to do that. Number 5. Serial cat shaver. There are many serious crime stories that start off with a pet like a cat, though this is definitely not one of them, even though cats are definitely involved. In a town in England, it was reported in January 2016 that someone was accosting cats and shaving fur off them, even though we can't think of any conceivable reason as to why anyone would do that. 2 cats were found with big patches of missing fur, as though someone had a trimmer, wanted to do something with it, but wasn't very good at it. The cats were understandably left shaken by the whole ordeal. The cats weren't hurt in any other way, suggesting that the shaving may have been the ultimate goal. The questionable motives of the assailants aside, it wasn't the first time someone had shaved a neighborhood cat. The locals remember another case around a year before this one, when a different cat was found to have been mysteriously shaved in a similar manner. Whoever the serial cat shaver might be, we sure hope they get caught soon so that we can at least understand their motives a bit better. Number 4. Wine terrorism. In case you aren't in the loop, the French are still continuously hitting the streets every weekend to protest against some of Macron's policies. That's not something new, as the French are known for their willingness to protest. This isn't about the Yellow Vests, though, but a lesser-known protest group in the south of the country with weirder motives. Crave, a group of balaclava-clad militants in the region of Languedoc, have been making the news for an entirely new type of resistance against imported wines for a while now. Termed wine terrorism by the local media, their methods include vandalizing the offices of various wine importers to take a stand against imported wine, especially from Spain. They've caused many spills around the port area that the authorities have had to clean up. Example from 2016 pictured above, though no cases of violence against any actual people have been reported yet. Arson and the use of explosives to destroy buildings and property have occurred. It's unknown if they're affiliated with any local winemakers, which would at least explain why they care so much, though they've definitely been becoming more violent in recent years. Number 3. Stealing bridges. What do you think about when you see a bridge? While many would reply with, absolutely nothing, it's just a bridge, the more curious may ponder how it must have been built or how people used to go from one side to the other before it. At no point would any one of us go, that's beautiful. How do I steal it? As stealing a bridge sounds like something that's not humanly possible. Despite that, bridges around the world have been reported stolen overnight, with very little explanation as to how it was accomplished. Bridge theft has occurred in the Czech Republic, England, and Turkey, to name a few countries. The aforementioned case in the Czech Republic, which happened in 2012, involved the dismantling of a 10-ton bridge which had over 198 meters, 650 feet, of track. We wouldn't even be sure where to start if someone was paying us to do it, as we're not talking some small object you can just steal, load into your truck, and drive off with. How do you dismantle it? How do you transport it? And most importantly, how do you do it without anyone noticing? In the Czech case, the thieves posed as people hired to demolish the bridge. Number 2. Ice theft. Ice theft doesn't mean anything to most of us, who would bother stealing something as natural and abundantly available as ice, anyway. Sure, the phrase could be used in the context of a house party with limited ice, but even then, calling it theft is sort of stretching it. Yes, we know that because of global warming, the Earth's ice caps are also gradually shrinking, but even then, things haven't yet evolved to the point where we'd have to outright smuggle ice out of glaciers to have access to it. So when the cops caught a man doing exactly that in Chile in 2012, it came as a surprise. He was caught with 5 metric tons of ice in the back of his truck in the town of Cochrane. Such a theft absolutely doesn't help anything, as the region already has some of the fastest melting glaciers in all of Chile. The officials suspected that the ice was meant for upscale restaurants and bars located in Chile's capital, Santiago, and that there may have even been a full-fledged gang behind the whole operation. Number 1. Professional number plate blockers. Due to being one of the fastest-growing cities in Asia, Tehran has introduced a bunch of road laws in recent years to keep things manageable. Much like other big cities of the world, Tehran also has designated traffic zones with their own rules that you must follow, and fees you must pay, if you want access to them, especially in the central, more crowded areas of the city. Unlike any other city in the world, though, Iranians have found an ingenious way to circumvent those rules and do whatever they want anyway: dedicated number plate blockers. To get around the strict traffic zone laws, drivers in Tehran have taken to hiring pedestrians to walk behind their cars and block the number plate from the view of CCTV cameras. While some of the plate blockers are just people on the street trying to earn a quick buck, there are others who do this for a living as well, either on foot or on a two-wheeler.